My sister's entire life, from at least I know high school on, has been one of serving. And what I mean by that is she started, obviously, my father was a pastor, and teaching in the Sunday school, playing the piano for the Sunday school. But she sought her dream to teach in order to continue the values and pursue the values that our parents had instilled in us, one of service, one of giving, one of helping to lift up others. And I believe that became her motivating thought and force to pursue that as young as in high school.
So I met Edna Varner the first month I was in Chattanooga. I kept hearing the name, and so I wanted to talk with her and meet her. She was then principal at Howard High School. And when I came to Chattanooga, I'd had the privilege of going in and out of a lot of different high schools across the country. And you develop a sort of a sixth sense of when a school is really working and when there's really good leadership, and you just sort of sense it. And I walked into Howard then with Edna as the principal, and I immediately sensed this was somebody who had a school moving in the right direction and cared about kids. Edna was a teacher magnet. It was clear, a great teacher magnet. Great teachers wanted to work with her. And so at that first meeting, I was a little bit disappointed, frustrated, because I had read that she was leaving Howard and going to be a consultant for a national foundation. And so I went to that meeting trying to convince her to, change her mind and work at the local public education foundation. Well, I failed at that. And over the next 7 or 8 years, 3 different times I called her up and said, Edna, we're going to hire this position. Would you be interested? Edna, would you be, and she said no. And would you be interested in this position? And she said no. And the third time when she said no, I gave her a blank piece of paper and I said, Edna, I'm not going to offer you any more positions. When you decide you want to come home and work in Chattanooga, just write out your job description and you are hired. And to my great good fortune, a few years later, she came and worked at the Public Education Foundation. And she's just an extraordinary person and such an amazing contribution to our community.
So here's the interesting thing. When you're a 14-year-old kid taking an English class from a teacher, you don't think about those teachers as being candid, right? Being people, right? Being just having their own lives and the way that they do things in the community. So as a teenager, I didn't really appreciate fully the impact that Edna Varner was having in our community outside the 4 walls of our school. It was only later in life that I really began to really understand all of the work that she's been doing in our community to make an impact.
Well, I tell you, her zeal for excellence academically, educating and pursuing one's goals in life without giving up. And she was, or still is, a motivating factor in our family, even though the numbers have declined. And for me, she actually taught for a few years at Honoree Junior High where we attended. And she made no special privileges for us. So when she would get up in the morning and go to school, she'd drive, but we had to walk. She wanted us to not feel like we were entitled, and she did that at Honoree Junior High. But it's always been her help and her spirit just daily. When we were young, my mother purchased an old Royal typewriter. And I'm talking first, second, third grade, we were typing and learning to type. It was our homework every day, and she would check it and stay on us so that we can prepare academically for the future. That's the type of mentality Edna had.
I believe that in the history of Chattanooga, there isn't anyone who has served and given advice to more boards of directors, advisory committees, fundraising committees, steering committees, executive committees, development committees. Edna has helped so many different organizations. I really don't think there's anybody in the history of this community who has given more of herself to the community and the community organizations. Extraordinary commitment of her wisdom, her spirit, and her values. I think it's unmatched in the history of Chattanooga. But Edna's more than just serving on boards with adults. I've had the privilege over the last 12 years of, if I go out and we have lunch together, or we go onto the UTC campus, or we go anywhere in a public school, I'll be standing there with Edna Varner and someone will come up to her and say, Miss Varner, they don't know it's Dr. Varner, Miss Varner, do you remember me? And it happens over and over. She was so important in so many different people's lives. And the thing is, she always says when they say, do you remember me? Yes, I remember you. She sees them, she remembers them, and that is something that is truly a gift that she has, that she gives every day. I was with her in line at a McDonald's to get a cup of coffee. And the man in front of us paid our bill. And he turned around and he said, Ms. Varner, you may not remember me, but I just want to thank you for what you did for me when I was a student at Howard High School. I mean, that's her life. She has contributed so much wisdom and concern and love to so many people across this community. So at the governance level or the advisory level, it's unmatched. But on the human level, it's unmatched.
Most of my life, I've listened to my sister Edna push in church, and we grew up in church, but centering on being better through academic achievement. And I've watched her on many cases as a teacher and then as a principal go the extra mile with students when she saw them struggling, whether academically, financially, emotionally. I've known her to reach in her own pocket and aid students or their parents for others and never ask for anything in return. All she wanted to do, and what she taught us to do, is to do our best to help lift up others without requiring anything in return. That's when we've been blessed by God. And this has been the situation I'm thinking of actually has to do with this year. I watched my sister as she was the keynote speaker at the 2024 graduation. I think it was in May for UT Chattanooga. And what struck me is she went all the way back to 1960s or in the 1960s of an experience when my family was living on University Street, and she would sit on the wall and watch the students going back and forth to UTC. But at that time, it was a segregated college. And she would say to herself, I'm going to attend there one day. And lo and behold, years later, here she is, the keynote speaker at the graduation. Now, what that did for me, other than blow my mind literally, she spoke about the connections that she made along the way that helped develop her and create an even more intense craving to serve through organizations and boards and her sorority, which is Delta Sigma Theta, in any way that she can to connect with people who are connected so that she would be better able to serve her community in lifting up others and making proposals and things of that nature. And that just reaffirmed what I've always known, that she's a selfless person.
Her, and this is hard for me coming from New Jersey, but when she speaks, I try and listen, because she is one of the wisest people I've ever had the privilege of sitting with. And what I admire so much about Edna is that she frames all of her comments, bases them all on a set of values and a set of beliefs. And what I love about Edna is everything's grounded in values and beliefs, but then she tries to find a way to move forward. It is hard, it's always hard, but part of, as I see it, Edna's mantra is let's do something. It's one of the things that I think Kamala Harris's mother says, we've got to do something. And Edna will find a way to get everybody together around a set of values and beliefs and then take a step forward. And that's how you make change happen. And I've seen her do that 100 times. So how does she affect me? I watch and I listen. Her ability to call out other people's strengths is extraordinary, and she does it all the time. She praises the good in people, and that inspires them to do even more. I mean, it's amazing to watch her build a coalition of people who care about the same thing and can figure a way to get started in the right direction. And she never loses track of the North Star that she wants to get to, but she starts moving.
Well, here's what I would say. There were so many things that she modeled back then. The patience that she had with us as teenagers, the warmth that she showed, and even today, her sense of that service that she provides to our community and the way that she continues to show up, that is an impact to me. And I think it's impacted so many others. I always talk about, we do things in a way that will benefit those whose names we won't even know. And in many ways, I think the lessons that she's provided us, the wisdom, will benefit, it's not only going to benefit my daughter, but also those those other students who had a chance to benefit from her teaching.
Well, I'm prejudiced here, but I believe my big sister is a loving person. She exudes love. No particular creed, color. She loves people, and she loves to see people fare well. And so her loving heart to want much for each and every individual, even if they didn't want it for themselves, to try to push that. And she demonstrates that in the way she sacrificed for others.
There's so many stories I could share about Edna. One of the privileges I've had in the last 4 or 5 years is to watch her at the Public Education Foundation, where she is both a senior advisor and our senior coach for, we work with, we call them baby teachers, but they're new teachers. And I mean, can you imagine anybody better than Edna Varner to coach a young teacher who wants to be a great teacher in a high-need school? That's Edna's job at the foundation, which is extraordinary. And every day she coaches new teachers who are working in schools that need them the most. And I just watch any number of times when she walks into the room, how much respect and love the new teachers have, because this is someone who's going to help them do something that matters. And to see Edna do that, it's a privilege. It's a privilege that I've had, and I wish everybody could have, because the art of great teachers is hard to describe in words, but just watch Edna and you'll see what great teachers do, and we're able to provide that to a generation of teachers now, thanks to Edna's willingness to keep working every day at something that really matters. She's an example for all of us of what's possible. As she says, she's failed at retirement. Well, I don't think that's true, but she could be retired, but instead every day she gets up and works with teachers and principals in a way that changes their careers and the lives of their kids.
So, what I think of is going to a Toastmasters event. And so this was about maybe 10, 15 years ago. I signed up for Toastmasters. I wanted to get better at a few things, and I ran into Edna Varner at this Toastmasters conference. And I was like, well, why is she here? She's already a fantastic speaker. And, just having a conversation with me, it just was clear that she loves learning. She loves getting better. She loves to master things. As eloquent and as articulate as she is, she still wants to get better. And so I think that's a lesson for all of us to take with us, that no matter where you are in life, there's always an opportunity to get better and to improve. So I thought about this question, and the thing that came to me was just her smile. And she has a way of saying things that need to be said, but she does it in a way that you don't feel defensive or offended. She has a way of getting her point across that is clear. She means business, but she does it with in such a way that you can't be mad at her. You can't be mad at her, and I love that about her, and the way that she handles her business, but does it in such a way that she does it with love.
Edna, in a word, that's pretty hard. One word that comes to mind is unmatched. I really don't believe there's anybody in the history of Chattanooga who has served more organizations and touched more kids in a way that's profoundly valuable. I think it's unparalleled, unmatched, truly extraordinary. She's a living legacy, and I'm so blessed to have worked alongside of her for more than a decade now.
So I would say radiant, right? Because that warmth that you feel when she's leading a meeting, when she's speaking to you, you feel it, and that's that smile and the laugh and everything else that comes along with it. So it's infectious in a way. That's the word that comes to mind for me.
Edna, you are amazing. Every day you make such a difference in the lives of teachers and students and me and everybody at the Public Education Foundation. Thank you so much for what you've done for us, for a generation of students, and for the city of Chattanooga. You are unparalleled. You are amazing.
So congratulations, Dr. Varner. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the things you do in our community, things that we know that we will never see, but because you've done the work behind the scenes. And so today you get a chance to get on the stage and to receive your flowers that you so deserve. So thank you for all the energy and the time and the sacrifice that you've made on behalf of our community. And for people like me and so many others, you've made this a better community, and we've made better people.
Well, Edna, your baby brother loves you, and you have been an inspiration not only to me, but everyone in our family, everyone that has been in commune with us or in our community. Your selfless love have always moved each and every one of us. And I love you with all my heart. We call you Peaches. I don't know if mother or daddy gave you that nickname, but now that you're Dr. Peaches, it's because you're so sweet, and you're sweet to everyone you meet. I thank God for the life that you've lived that continues to build up those around us.